Good morning, everybody. We are live with the Geotab webinar. I will be handing over to Preston to welcome and just allow the delegates to enter. Good morning, Preston.
Morning, Ryan. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Preston Govender, Solution Specialist at Geotab Africa, and I will be hosting the Geotab Africa vertical webinar series today. Welcome all. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate everyone that is attending our webinar today. Our vertical webinar series will focus on customized fleet management solutions tailored to your industry requirements. In our up and coming weeks, our solution specialist will deep dive into features across the cold chain, cement drum rotation, and rail transportation verticals. Quick housekeeping notes. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and will be made available for viewing on our YouTube channel or for download on request. Please type your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of the webinar screen. These will be addressed in the Q&A portion at the end of the webinar. Kindly complete our webinar survey following our session today. It will automatically open in your browser once the session has ended. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Ryan Diesel, our National Sales Manager at Geotab Africa. We would also like to give you a warm welcome to Asheen Mohanlal, Business Development Representative at Online Intelligent, our integrated partner, as well as our esteemed client, Travis Sloan from EC Security, as they will be presenting our first responder solution today. Over to you, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Preston. Really appreciate that. And once again, good morning to everybody. Thanks again for joining us. Allow us to get started. Fantastic. Geotab Africa is one of the leading telematics companies in the world, offering fleet management solution. Geotab was started in South Africa in 1996 and is one of the very few telematics companies to design and develop its own telematics software and hardware. The engineering division of Geotab was moved to Canada in 2000, becoming Geotab Inc. Geotab Africa is part of Geotab Inc. and serves South Africa and the African continent, including the Middle East. If we look at the current timeline that I'd like to bring to your attention, with regards to the first responder application today, if we look at 2012, we introduced what we call an IOX expander. This has given us the ability to integrate with third-party devices, such as an integration with a Garmin device, where you are able to dispatch a vehicle through a software, which we will touch on a little bit later with Online Intelligence. If you jump forward to 2015 and you're looking at our Geotab marketplace, this is where our power of our SDK comes in, and we are able to integrate with companies such as Online Intelligence. I'm just giving you a very high level view of how the timeline is fitted in to get us to the present day. In 2018, we achieved 1 million subscribers, and we were quite proud of that. As I said to you in our previous slide, in 2018, we achieved 1.8 million subscribers. By the start of 2020, we are already over 2 million subscribers. This is just our current footprint in the African continent. With regards to our 2 million devices, we collect 1 million miles driven daily and over 40 billion data points daily. Our first responder application. Geotab Africa partnered with integrated software solutions company Online Intelligence. Online Intelligence is a leading supplier of enterprise risk solutions across the African continent. The integration has been focused on the Signal Tower software. Signal Tower is a high volume, hardware independent alarm monitoring and management system. The integration has been designed in order to create the first responder solution, which we will deep dive a little bit later. Just a quick rundown of what is going to happen. The first responder application, the application of the first responder solution, features, and then a success story from EC Security. Just to give again a high level of the dispatch via Garmin via Online Intelligence. So previously, a customer would push their panic button, sending a signal to the control room. The control room would then have to radio all vehicles in order to locate and dispatch the nearest vehicle to the incident. The first responder solution enables control rooms to drag and drop addresses onto a map of the vehicles. and automatically dispatch the nearest vehicle to the scene. The responder only needs to accept the located address. The following factors are recorded: time alerted, time responded, time took to arrive, time spent at the customer, time departed, and special notifications. Controller is further able to schedule responses to drive-by clients with requests to their services and provide reporting confirming the patrols. They are also able to schedule stand-down times for responses in specific locations at specific times. I'm going to hand over to Ashin to give us more of a deep dive within the integration between the online system and Geotab. Ashin, good morning and welcome.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Good morning, all. Thank you to Geotab for having us as part of the webinar today. And thank you to our participants for joining the session to listen in on the solution that we've built and on everything that we've got to say this morning. So just to give you guys a brief understanding of online intelligence and where we fit in the market and an introduction to the company. As Ryan mentioned, we are the leading supplier of enterprise risk solutions across the African continent. And with that, we've moved into many spaces across the globe as well. We focus on almost all verticals within security and risk space, as well as moving into your facility management and your health and safety operations and so on across industry. So not purely focused within the security space, but moving into mining and education and a number of different areas as such. On that note, we're going to be focusing on the signal tower application, as this is where our integration is built with Geotab, focusing on the first responder solution. We've also got our SIMS application, which is fully integrated to Signal Tower, whereby your signals coming from Geotab into Signal Tower can move into a SIM space where we create occurrences and proceed to incidents and investigations, where there's a number of features on the compliance side, as well as standard operating procedures that can move into the system and automate all of your processes. Ultimately, we would like to turn all of this data into intelligence, and that's what we aim to achieve. From this point, I'm going to move on to the next slide, where I'll give you guys an understanding of Signal Tower, the first responder solution, and how that works for us. As we move on to the next slide, you guys will be able to see what the event reporting looks like and how a new event or alarm comes through into the application of Signal Tower. Looking at that event that you have in front of you, we've got the dispatch from map, which is a feature built in. Prior to this, we would have a space where the event comes through on a feed, on an alarm event stack. Looking at the stack, you would be able to view your different alarm events, be it a panic or a technical event or a medical emergency, that would come through on an alarm event stack, where you would be able to acknowledge or dismiss that specific event. Once we open up the event, it would look exactly like the screen that you're seeing in front of you, where we've got the details of our client or the specific account holder on the left-hand side of the screen, and then the actioning of that specific event on the right-hand side of the screen. The first responder solution comes in where we have the ability to click on the From Map button, and on that specific map, we would be able to see where the event is feeding from, and this shows us the account name, as well as the locality and the category of that specific event. Around that specific event would be the markers that we would see either green or gray with a little vehicle icon on it. And this basically shows us our fleet vehicles that are available and the ones that are currently busy. So the green ones are the available vehicles. The gray markers, which I see are not present on this specific map, are the markers that are showing us vehicles that are currently responding to different events. On that specific event, we have the ability to click on the dispatch key, and immediately from the map, the dispatch function will send the location of the event through to the in-vehicle device, and all your responder has to do is click on accept, from where the vehicle will be routed to that specific event. Can we move to the next slide, Ryan? At this point, you would be able to see the vehicle dispatched en route, where there is a clear event feedback and audit trail on the event itself. Looking at this specific stack, you would also be able to see that we capture details such as your dispatch to arrival at the event, where it shows you the exact time it took from the time your controller dispatched the specific vehicle until the time it reached that specific premises. Moving on to the next slide, you will be able to see that the arrival would also...
Sorry, Asheen, my apologies. So obviously from when the controller now obviously sends that from the previous screen, that then is obviously registered through the Geotab device, and that gets then dispatched to that responder in that vehicle. Am I correct to say that?
Most definitely, yes. So basically, I think maybe I didn't clear that up, but from the time the controller dispatches from Signal Tower, everything then moves onto the Garmin in-vehicle device that Geotab installs in there, from where your responder would then action on. So all of the details goes through to the in-vehicle device, and that specific device is structured in a way that it provides feedback automatically to the Signal Tower application. So as you guys are seeing on the alarm feedback stack, Ryan, you'll be able to see there that when your vehicle reaches a specific point, it would arrive the vehicle at the specific premises. And I'm going to get to that on the slide after this. But yes, definitely. So it's your Geotab devices that will provide feedback to Signal Tower on that.
Correct. And again, for all the delegates that are online at the moment, and again, that is just to show you that one line integration where Geotab is feeding all this information through to the online intelligence, Signal Tower device. Again, thank you. I'll move on to the next slide.
Thank you so much. So as we moved on to the next slide, you see that the vehicle arrival at the premises would also come up on the screen. And the good thing with this is that your feedback comes through automatically. As we said, the way the integration on the first responder is built is that we aim to limit all of the manual processes and tend to automate it so that everything captures automatically, where you can then generate intelligence in terms of your reports and features and functions as such. The times that you're seeing in front of you obviously capture by the device, so that would then record based on a specific geographical location of your responder vehicle. So the way the Geotab device is set up is that once you reach a specific area, it would auto-arrive that vehicle. And that's where Signal Tower will receive a notification from the in-vehicle device to say that my response vehicle has now arrived at the event. And then it starts capturing the next set of timing, where we capture the time of arrival to time of departure from that specific area. Can we move on, Ryan? Thank you. So at this point, you see that the vehicle auto depart detected outside the 100-meter radius is reflecting on there. And basically what this means is exactly what I mentioned on the previous slide, where we set a radius depending on your service level agreement with your client, or basically your standard operating procedure within your space, where we say that when my response vehicle reaches 50 or 80 or 100 meters from a site, it should auto arrive that vehicle. And once the vehicle leaves that specific location, it captures the time of arrival to departure, and the vehicle drives out either 50 or 100 meter radius from that specific event. Once that vehicle leaves the radius, we would then get a departure on the system as we see on the screen, and that then makes the vehicle now available for the next event. When I mentioned earlier that we have the green and gray markers, this basically allows us the ability to queue a vehicle as well. The reason for this is that all events that come through on a criminal incident or a panic basis are obviously critical. But at the same time, we could have false alarms, we could have tests, we could have tech. Obviously, then not want to send a vehicle from a different area completely moving through just to action on a technical event, which is not as serious. So on a gray tab, on a gray marker, we can click on the button and we can queue that vehicle to proceed to another event the moment it leaves the radius of the current event that we've got here. So that's basically how the first responder solution would then action from the time an event comes into the application of Signal Tower, how we process that event through to the Geotab in-vehicle device, the actions and processes that take place within that space until departure from that specific event. And as you see, we're moving through here, the alarm feedback then processes all of the actions with the date and timestamp, as well as the created by person. So you have a full audit trail within that space. On to the next slide, Ryan. Thank you.
Sorry, Asheen, I just want to bring in again, what I'm seeing is what our customers are really enjoying this joint integration is as well, that auto departure is that you also have the ability to let the responder give feedback through the Garmin device. And this could all be audible for argument's sake to say, was it a false alarm, yes or no? Was the gate closed? And we can take it so much further, like you say, through a criminal activity of integrating through a camera or all of those type of things. But I'm also seeing our customers really enjoying that instant feedback that has now been given straight through the Garmin to the online system.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for that, Ryan. So something that you guys are wondering, obviously, is that Geotab is by far, to me, one of the best fleet management devices. And what this device does for you is that it also captures events on your driver behavior. Now, you would wonder that we've got a panic in place, we've got a technical event in place. How are we monitoring the different driver behaviors and the event reporting on that vehicle specifically whilst we actioning a panic event? As you can see, on the very same alarm event that we've got opened up, we have the ability to bring multiple signals in based on the standard procedure of that vehicle. So as subsequent events feed into the system, this means that we are linking different events on exceptions through to the alarm event itself. So not only now are we actioning on the panic alarm that came through, but our Geotab in-vehicle device is also telling us that we've got our responder who is speeding. At the end of the day, this could be allowed because the vehicle is rushing to a panic event. We've then got harsh braking as well, or braking that is out of the normal, so an exception. We've got acceleration that links in there. We've got cornering that links in there. And every time our driver behavior tends to change or captures an exception as to the normal way that someone should drive, we then pull events into that specific alarm event where we can say, it took our vehicle just 2.5 minutes to respond to the panic, but at the same time, we had a speeding vehicle, which is basically a hazard on the road. We had very harsh braking, which is, difficult or harsh on our vehicles itself. And we can then monitor the driver behavior through the integration where the Geotab device speaks back to Signal Tower, giving us those subsequent events on our driver behavior as well. So we can monitor multiple events on a single window. So at the same time, where we're actioning from a control center, what's going on at our specific event, we're also monitoring our fleet, where Geotab is sending us all of these signals, and we can pull then intelligence and reports on our driver behavior, on our different responders, on the different vehicles, and so on. So that's basically how we can also monitor your driver behavior. So looking at some of the features of the first responder solution, I have spoken through a lot of them. I have discussed a lot of these features with you. And as you guys can see that we've got a few additional features linking on here that I'm not going to talk through specifically, but I would like you guys to reach out to us. I would like you to pose your questions in the Q&A section of the specific webinar as well, where you can discuss this further with Ryan, with his team, get in contact with me where we can discuss this as well, and then we can take it from there. But from my side, I'd just like to thank you, Ryan, and the Geotab team as well, to thank all of you for listening in on my part of the presentation. And I think from here we can proceed. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ashin. Really appreciate that informative presentation. If I might ask that you just stay on the line for the question and answer section at the end. I'm sure we will have a few questions at the end, but again, thank you so much for that presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on, I would now like to introduce Travis from EC Security. Travis is the sales manager for EC Security, and he will be giving us a bit of a testimonial on how the system has worked for their company. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning, Ryan. Thank you for the introduction. Morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. So I think that the best way to start is just from inception from Geotab's side. It's been a frictionless experience, and support services have been phenomenal to date. We actually had you guys doing one of our additional vehicles to our fleet yesterday. I agreed to one of you guys. So I just wanted to say Geotab has not only provided one of the best solutions to efficient response within the security industry, but has also provided a product that has allowed us to economically manage our fleet and save up to 30% of our resources spent a month on a response vehicle. And you might ask, how have you saved this much money? Well, this is because Geotab has given us a full monitoring of how our vehicles and the drivers, this is because Geotab has given us full monitoring of our vehicles and driving behavior and habits of our response officers. Thanks to Geotab, we've been able to eliminate excessive idling, which is a massive one. Guys like the aircon and the heater in the winter, and this excessive idling can lead up to expensive petrol bills. Dispatching vehicles that are further from a site than another, Geotab has made this exceptional, which has actually decreased our response time. Response time is usually 5 to 7 minutes. I'm getting as good as 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes as an average response time, which is a great selling platform for me and my team when we sell the EC security product. And then obviously harsh braking and excessive speeding, which one, petrol bills, and two, excessive maintenance on vehicles. And this has allowed us to hold our fleets accountable, but also deliver some incredible services at great times within the EC security products, which is obviously armed response. So that's just a bit of overview of how we've utilized Geotab and how they've helped us.
Travis, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I just got a few questions from my side here. Is that how do you guys know when a security has arrived at a particular location?
Well, after vehicle is dispatched, we actually receive an auto arrival notification through the software.
Fantastic, and that's brilliant. How do you report on your site visits?
So there's a trip history report that provides us with arrival times, time spent at the site, and then departure times. And then just a little thing on that, most of my complexes, when I close deals on massive guarding opportunities, I actually use this as a selling point. They always want to know that we're being held accountable. And your guys' software has allowed us to provide reports with ease, as opposed to having to develop and employ a whole team that would have to keep records of all responses and everything that goes down in the complex. And when a guy arrives, you guys have actually eliminated those costs and allowed us to do a better selling pitch when we do these guarding sites, telling people, when your fence goes off at the end of the month, we can say, okay, we've had 3 responses to your fence. This is where our guys arrived. This is how long it took us to arrive. This is what the guy reported happened at the site. And all of that can be on one spreadsheet. And we can obviously hand them over to that. And it also allows us to make sure that we can combat against any legal battles. When someone brings up saying, oh, well, this was actually stolen on this and this date, we can report back saying, listen, well, this is what our spreadsheet said. Our guy arrived at 10:35. He searched the premises for 20 minutes. He left the premises at 10:55, and he did not find anything at that specific site. It's been great.
Brilliant. And it just goes to show how that big data, a fantastic example that is actually working for you guys, and you're utilizing that for that ease of mind for the clients out there. So that's absolutely brilliant. I'm quite excited to hear when you were saying there with regards to your response time. Our last case study that we did with you guys indicated went from 7 to 3.5, and you just indicated you're almost pushing down to 2. So that's absolutely brilliant response time from EC Security. It's phenomenal. Well done.
Well, that's one, thanks to your guys' software. But two, obviously we are a growing company and we're getting to put more vehicles in the area. And so having vehicles saturate an area combined with Geotab, it's been phenomenal. I think the other day I called for backup. The dispatchers put it through on the software and I had guys there in 30 seconds. Yes, they could have been about 1.5 Ks away, but the software allows just a frictionless process. There's not this long process to log a call and then dispatch a vehicle. You guys have really just streamlined the process to the point that it's a click of a button to get our guys out to help people.
Absolutely brilliant. And thank you for that, Travis. And again, thank you for your time. If you do not mind just staying on as well, I'm sure there will be a few questions towards the end. So again, Travis, and then to the EC Security Company, again, thank you for your time and joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure.
I will now hand over to Donnie.
Hi, Ryan. Thank you very much. Ryan, I've got a question for you as well. How is the two-way messaging utilized on the Garmin?
Oh, brilliant question. Thank you, Donnie. And just to elaborate on that is obviously once we get the signal from online intelligence or signal tower that goes into the response officer, we could utilize what we call an in-cab device. It could go from a Garmin to a tablet, depending on what the client's requirements are, but let's refer to a Garmin. So it's in the vehicle. As that vehicle gets dispatched, it goes to that device. The in-cab notification gets pinged. The response officer selects it on to say go on the device itself, and off he gets to do dispatched to that particular location. So right through that driver console is the two-way communication between the response officer and the control room.
Thank you very much. Asheen, I also would like to ask you a question as well. Is
Yeah,
the
sure.
solution available in Africa and how is it utilized cross-border?
Yes, most definitely. It is available across Africa. Online intelligence and Geotab have grown exponentially across the African continent. So the solution is very fluid in terms of location. As a setup would be done within a South African space, we would do exactly the same abroad or across Africa, where we just link a signal tower transmitter onto a Geotab in-vehicle device, and then those signals and exceptions feed through regardless of the location itself. At the same time, we tailor the solution according to the unique requirement of that client, and we can adjust it based on the needs analysis generated, from that specific geographical location or the operational space in that sense.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan, Asheen, and Travis for this formative presentation. We will now open up for attendees to ask questions. Just some housekeeping notes again. Please note that this webinar has been recorded and will be made available for viewing on our YouTube channel or for download on request. Please type your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of the webinar screen and kindly complete our webinar survey. Following our session today, it will automatically open in your browser once the session has ended. So we'll just give a few minutes to see if there's any questions.
Donnie, I see one's come through here for Travis. Travis, they would like to know what areas does EC Security service?
Fantastic. So we handle most of the West Rand. Starting, let's say, from the Bears Nadia off ramp, we will do Rampark Ridge, Walterfreden Park, Northcliffe, Fairlands. We'll go deeper into the Sundowner area, Wilgeerville, Radiokop, Ramsig, Little Falls, and Strubens Valley.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, looks like that's all the questions that have come in through. We'd like to thank everybody for their time once again. Please stay tuned for our next webinar. We will send through information out there. To everybody that's joined us, once again, thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
you all.
Ryan. Cheers all.